Yammer is the place for
breaking down barriers,
unlocking the potential of everyone that works,
connecting people outside of the silos and outside of the hierarchy.
Its key strength is inclusiveness.
Our goal is to change how companies work.
10 years ago, Yammer was born, and it was the first of its kind to bring social technologies to the enterprise.
now, and it's impacting millions of users worldwide on a daily basis. Medium-sized companies, large companies.
I talk to customers every day that are getting tremendous value out of the way that they're using Yammer, from creating new products to employee engagement and just making sure that their employees feel like they're valued. Yammer allows for kind of a bird's eye view of what's occurring across their organization.
There's very few products that reach every employee within the company and create for that plural expression, for that two-way conversation. Yammer makes that happen.
In the last 10 years, we've continued to stay ahead of the pack.
In the time that I've been here, we've tripled the size of the team up here. We really evolved from doing these deeply technical things to then also working on product-focused experiences across all the surfaces of Yammer.
We've been able to weave Yammer into the rest of the Office 365 experiences, providing an opportunity to engage socially, whether you're in Yammer, SharePoint, or even Microsoft Teams.
I think we've always had this culture of like Yammer champions telling us what they love and what they hate, which is a powerful experience as an engineer, because when you're talking with customers, that really hits home like how important it is that we build these scalable systems that are performant and that people love using.
When Microsoft acquired Yammer, we didn't just get a technology. We got an amazing team of people who understand business and who can connect with customers and help them be successful.
We are working with very smart individuals, and I think that gets more exciting because there are strong opinions and there are good solutions.
Whether it's through data science or through research, we're always talking about how we can make the product better for our users.
I'm really excited to see how we use intelligence services to prompt people to share their information and share their knowledge, which then turns around and makes the whole organization better.
There are so many amazing things that we can build. So I feel that 10 years, historically looking back, has been magical. This product has grown to millions of users worldwide, but we're still very early.
We're able to focus the lens on the scenarios that makes Yammer special, connecting leaders with employees, fostering a culture of open sharing and learning, and connecting people to share knowledge and expertise.
It's a truly transformational tool. We believe that every person in every organization can create impact, and Yammer is the place to do it.
All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this afternoon's session, Live Events and Employee Engagement with Yammer, Stream, and SharePoint. My name is Dan Holm. I'm the Director of Product Marketing for Yammer, Stream, and SharePoint. And this afternoon, we're going to tackle what I think is one of the most fun and engaging topics in Microsoft 365, which is how to reach, to communicate with, and to embrace and involve all of our employees, all of our colleagues, to move an organization forward. We're going to be focused on 3 products, Yammer, SharePoint, and Stream, and we're going to be looking at how they light up these employee engagement and communication scenarios. Now, when creating a session like this, we can choose to take a scenario-based approach and sort of walk through scenarios where we see the products. In an event like this, that's a technical event, we choose to go from the product and look at the capabilities and then get to the scenarios. So for those of you who are newer to the product and perhaps are business users as opposed to IT, we will get to the scenarios and you'll see us take that journey along the way, but we're going to do it from a product lens. We'll see the new features and capabilities across Yammer, Stream, and SharePoint, and then we'll tie them together with the scenarios. So we're going to start with Yammer. And let me first ask in here, how many folks do we have in here who are already using Yammer? All right, right on. That's a good number. For all of you and for anyone else, we've got stickers with the new logos up here. So feel free to come grab some. We also have some wonderful team stickers as well. So feel free to come on up. Yammer is a tool that applies social networking concepts to the enterprise. allowing people to connect and engage across the organization in open conversations that allow people to contribute openly, to ask, to share, and to listen. Yammer has been doing this for over 10 years. The video I showed before the session began was our 10-year celebration video. We have millions and millions of customers worldwide who are using Yammer to share knowledge, interests, and ideas across devices using very consumer-grade, rich experiences. In addition, we've just announced this week the general availability of live events, which allow you to bring the power of video and stream to host live and on-demand events in your organization. And we are shipping the new Yammer Conversations web part for SharePoint, which allows you to bring Yammer Conversations into SharePoint to create a truly social intranet. We'll take a look at each of these capabilities as we go through this session. And in addition, we'll see how Yammer can be used to build communities, to allow people to share knowledge and best practices, how these tools integrate together across Office 365. And along the way, everything we're doing is, of course, within the trust boundary of Microsoft 365, allowing you to manage users, the service, and the information that people are sharing on Yammer. So let's start with a demo. Let's take a look at these capabilities in the user experience itself. So I'm going to jump over to this tenant here. And here we have a group, or here we have the Yammer UX, and we're going to dive into a group called Leadership Engagement. And this particular group is designed to allow users or employees from across the organization to engage directly with leadership, to ask questions, to get clarity about what our vision and our mission and our objectives are, to suggest ideas and to provide feedback. And it allows leaders to engage directly with employees, to share what's on top of mind, to clarify vision and strategy and mission and objectives. But most importantly, it allows leaders to listen. This type of group you could think of as a megaphone, allowing leaders to talk to employees. But where we see the most value is that this group is a stethoscope. It allows leaders to listen to the organization and to tap into what the conversation is. We use this at Microsoft. In fact, this is one of the main tools that Microsoft used to drive its cultural transformation over the last several years. When Satya came on board, his leadership team determined what the new mission and vision and worldview and values were for Microsoft. And they needed to find a way to evangelize and socialize and drive this change across 110,000+ employees worldwide. And they looked at our toolkit and realized that Yammer was the exact right tool to do that, because it's open, it scales, and it allows everyone to participate in the conversation that is being driven initially by leaders and eventually takes on a life of its own. So let's take a look at some of the features of Yammer that light up in this leadership engagement group. First, people can share. They can share posts, they can share video, they can reply, so we can see several different replies here. They can express praise, and they can even express themselves in their own language. We see here a post in Spanish, and for those of us who don't speak Spanish, we're lucky that Yammer does. I can click translate, and it translates it into my language so that each of us can express ourselves in the language that's most comfortable to us, a very inclusive approach. We can share documents such as the new corporate social media policy or a slide presentation on the giving campaign. We can share galleries of photos, for example, upcoming products. And we have all these capabilities, including posting with Giphies and such, to really create a dynamic and compelling conversation. So this is all taking place, in this case, within a group designed to connect leaders and their organization. But of course, this could be applied to any scenario to spur conversation and to allow people to connect across teams and across the organization. Let's jump back here for a second here. And within this, within that group, we will come back to that group in a moment and see how live events light up. Now, just with that initial demonstration, and most of you have seen Yammer before, so that should look familiar to you, it really allows us to take a moment to look at the technical differentiators that give Yammer its superpowers. And this slide is really about what makes Yammer the right tool for these employee engagement and communications scenarios. And by the way, we'll make sure you get these slides. So if you want to take a picture, that's great, but you don't have to. If you want to take a picture, I'll stand like this. As you know, we have multiple tools in Office 365, and each of them have unique superpowers. Teams is our hub for teamwork. We believe that that is by far the most productive place that people can work together to deliver projects because it brings together chat and files and meetings and shared tools and content into one single hub. So people can stay within the context of their work. Conversation is tightly integrated. It's phenomenal for that type of teamwork. However, when it comes to connecting and engaging across the organization, you need a different set of superpowers. You need something that really focuses on conversation and allowing people to express themselves easily. And these are some of the things that Yammer brings to that set of scenarios. First of all, it's lightweight. We've just taken a tour of the user interface. Many of you have used Yammer before. You know it's very easy. And anyone who's used a consumer social tool can start using Yammer right away. And we ourselves conduct research. We also have customers who do bake-offs, who do head-to-head competitions between Yammer and other competing tools. And they find that Yammer is the most adoptable and productive tool on the market. So it's lightweight. But more important than that, it's inclusive. And this is really key to the difference, for example, between Teams and Yammer. In Yammer, all conversations are open by default. Groups are open. So you can see conversations that are happening within groups, and you will see conversations that are happening even in groups you don't belong in. Because if those conversations are recent or trending, or they're important to you based on intelligence in Microsoft Graph, those conversations will appear for you even if you don't belong to the group. Now, that is very different than conversations that happen in Microsoft Teams, which is focused on a core group of people who work together on a shared effort. In Microsoft Teams, you will only see the conversation if you are a member of the team, because the team is a security boundary. And you won't see the content unless you're in the team. Now, a team can be public, but that doesn't mean you can see it until you join it. Public just means you can join it without an invitation. Private means you have to be invited. But either way, in Teams, you must belong to the team. You must make that intentional gesture to see conversation. And that's because of what Teams is designed to solve. Yammer, again, open by default. All conversations will be visible. So I can be having a conversation with colleagues, and I can @mention you, and you will get a notification, and you will be able to be part of that conversation without ever having to join it. You can be brought into the conversation as well. So it's open by default. It's inclusive. It also scales to hundreds of thousands of users, so it can reach employees across all their devices. In addition, Yammer is designed for what we call non-invasive productivity. And what that basically means is you can check in on Yammer when you need to. It doesn't fill your inbox with messages. It doesn't require your attention at all moments. It's not meant for real-time work towards a goal. It's meant to contribute to your growth, your knowledge, and your contribution to the organization. So it allows you to participate and contribute at your own time. In addition, Yammer is designed to help you catch up and get back to your task. And the way we do that is through our views of feeds. When you come to a group by default, you will only see what's new, which means you can see the new conversations, catch up, and get back to work. If you want to see all conversations, you can, but the default is new conversations. In addition, we have the inbox that allows you to see conversations in groups that you're following, places you've been @mentioned, and that allows you, again, sort of quickly get through the conversations that are most important to you. As soon as you've read them, they disappear from your inbox, and it allows you to get back to work. Finally, Yammer is designed from the ground up to capture knowledge. Of course, there are groups to organize topics. Topics can then be broken down into threads, just like any other chat modality. But in addition, Yammer has hashtags that allow you to specify a topic of discussion, and that allows discussions to happen even across groups. Let me show you an example of that. If we go into this discussion somewhere down here, I'm sure we end up talking about diversity because that's a big topic these days. So let's see if I can find that chat quickly here. Well, rather than me looking and trying to find it here, I'll just do a new post for it. How are we going to reach our diversity goals for 2019? And notice I use a hashtag, and that automatically becomes a topic. And assuming other people are talking about the same topic, I can click that topic, and it will show me all the conversations that are happening across the organization about that particular topic. It allows you to have campaigns which can drive cultural change at scale across multiple groups, and allows you also to tag knowledge and to be able to see the progression of knowledge over time and across groups. Finally, conversations can be referenced with a URL. So let's say, for example, that there's that a question has come up about our latest product strategy, and I know that we have had a recent video that shared that product strategy. I can actually get that URL, copy the link, and then I can email someone and say, here's the answer to your question, or I can post this on another Yammer group or in Teams. And because Yammer's open, I know that everyone's going to be able to get to this conversation. So we've got the ability to reference knowledge with a URL, which is unique. And all these things put together give Yammer the ability to empower everyone to contribute for plural expression, for the organization to drive transparency and open communication, and for people to discover knowledge and information without that they otherwise wouldn't even know exists, through serendipitous discovery, being able to just stumble upon valuable information. So that was sort of a technical look at the differentiators between Yammer and other tools in the suite, as well as other tools on the market. Again, I'll make sure you have this slide. For your users who are trying to understand these superpowers, we have a new infographic on the Yammer blog. I'll give you a link to it later. That tells the same story in end user terms. Yammer's superpowers also include fighting crime. The Belgian police force uses Yammer to connect police officers and share information on ongoing cases. Yammer saves lives. Sounds a little marketing-y, but it's kind of true. We have a lot of organizations, including UNICEF, who use Yammer to connect practitioners across the globe to share knowledge and best practices that literally end up saving lives. And Yammer superpowers also include an incredible partner community. There's a number of great partners here. There's a few of them here on the slide, and a URL where you can learn more about them. And as you're working to implement Yammer, one of the most important things you can do is be intentional about it. The easiest way to fail at Yammer is to turn it on and tell people to use it. With no direction, with no goal, with no business objective in mind, any tool will fail. And these partners have built a business around helping you understand what use cases will drive the greatest value for your organization and helping you implement those. So these are great partners that have their own superpowers to bring to the table. So with that, let's take a quick look at Microsoft Stream. And we'll come back to Yammer in a moment with some more demos and details. In Microsoft Stream, which is our enterprise video service for Microsoft 365, we're enabling you to engage and to communicate across the organization with intelligent video. For people who are not familiar with Stream, the crass way to describe it is it's YouTube for the enterprise. Everyone on the planet today knows how to use YouTube. You know that you can go there, upload videos, share them, find videos. It's the same thing, except it's part of your enterprise. It's secure, it's managed, and it's something that can be reused across time and across scenarios for your organization. So Microsoft Stream lets everyone use video for communicating, for driving training and learning. It allows you as an individual to share and discover videos, to find out what's going on across your organization. And video isn't just a place you go. It's not just a destination. It integrates into all of the other tools you're using, including Teams, Yammer, and SharePoint. Very importantly, Stream unlocks the content of video, because video is one of the richest forms of communication. In video, you have voice, which contains content. You've got body language. You've got objects in the room. You've got people. And AI can be used to unlock that content to really help you find and reuse information in that video over time. And we'll see some examples of that. And finally, and importantly, Stream is part of the trust boundary in Microsoft 365. So again, the content and the capabilities of video can be fully managed by the organization. One of the powers of a Stream is live events, and we'll actually look at this in the demo, so I won't spend time looking through the slide. And we're going to go straight into Stream in the context of live events. So we're back in our Yammer group here. We know that this group is designed to allow leaders and employees to engage in an ongoing, sustained dialogue. But sometimes the organization needs to move the needle further faster. We really need to spark conversation and really communicate and connect with employees. One of the best ways to do that is with a live event like this one. But what happens when people are outside of the boundaries of the organization, geographically or time zone-wise? We need to be able to scale our reach, and one of the best ways to do that is to take this event online. So live events allows you to do exactly that. It allows you to host a live event, which then becomes available on demand right within Yammer. Now we're going to start by looking at an event that's already been produced. This was a product strategy update in November. And we'll come back and look at how to produce the events later. But let's look at the experience of an event. Each event has a page in Yammer, and that page brings together the conversation from Yammer and video from powered by Microsoft Stream into a single experience. If I come to this page before the event, I can post a question, I can express an idea, and the event organizers can use those questions to decide what to talk about at the meeting. During the event, I will be able to come to this page and watch the video and participate in the conversation. So if this event were live, I would see the video playing.
I had the privilege of being able to help bring the Mark 8 to market.
Whoops, sorry. I hit refresh. Not the Satya Nadella way.
I had the privilege of being able to help bring the Mark 8 to market.
So I would be able to watch this event and scroll down and participate in the conversation, and notice as I scroll, the video follows me, making it easy for me to stay connected and productive. And after the event, I can come back to this exact same page, just as I am now, and I can watch the video on demand. In addition, the recorded on-demand video is unlocked with artificial intelligence, with AI, to allow me to look at the content in more interesting ways. For example, I can turn on closed captions. And so closed captions obviously allow me to watch the video without headphones in a noisy environment. And it also makes the video more accessible to people who have challenges with hearing. That transcript that is driving the closed captions was created automatically. Simply by hosting the live event, which happens in Stream automatically, Stream turns voice into text and creates the closed captions. In addition, that allows me to search the video for specific content. So for example, I can search for camera, and I can find everywhere in the transcript where the word camera was mentioned, and I can jump to that exact part of the meeting, so I can find that moment that matters. Stream is additionally, let me get out of this here. Stream additionally is doing more AI that we can see if we look at the same video in Stream. So looking at the exact same video in Stream, I can now see the transcript over here on the right. I can search the transcript just as we did before for a word like camera, and I can get to those locations. I can see the conversation, so that same conversation that was in Yammer is visible when I'm looking at the video. And in addition, I can look at people to see who was speaking in this video. Now, this video only has one speaker, so let's go look at another video in our environment. And to do that, we will use the Stream portal, so to speak, to find additional videos. So as I look through the videos in my organization, I will see, for example, a product update that happened in, let's see, is that the right one? A leadership Q&A that happened in September. I'll jump to that one. Hopefully this is the one I wanted to show you. And yes, we can see, I can see all of the people who appear in this video. So if I want to jump to the point where he's speaking, I can simply scroll to that point in the video, and it takes me right to where he appears. So again, using AI to not only change voice to text, but also to identify people. And each video can be managed very much like a consumer tool. We can have videos shared with groups. You can have channels of video, and in other words, organize video by topics. We can edit the metadata of videos. If you are an owner of the video, you can download the video. And people can create their own watch lists and share the video. And the sharing dialog allows me to take this video and share it directly to Yammer, or I can copy the URL and paste it to any communications tool. I can even specify a starting point if I want to. I can generate an email directly from here. It's not available because of my current user account. And I can even do an embed if I need to put it into a third-party content management system, for example. So there's all kinds of ways I can work with that video that came from the live event. And the same is true for any other video. So if we go back to stream, video is not only created when you have a live event. That's going to take too long. Let's do it the normal way. I can come into Stream and I can upload a video and literally just pull it up from my computer. I also have the ability, coming soon on the Stream mobile app, to upload a video straight from my camera roll on my phone. So it can be very, very easy to create a video in Microsoft Stream that then can be shared with others. And those videos can then be posted again to Teams. They can be posted to Yammer. So if we look through this particular conversation stream, we will see several other places where people have shared video down here further in the stream. There we go. So here's a video that was shared, and it renders directly inside of the Yammer conversation. Again, the player has all the superpowers of being able to play the video in line, turn on closed captions, search, view full screen, etc. So I have the full suite of capabilities there. So that's a little bit about Stream, and we'll come back and look at it in more detail again in a moment, but I wanted to cover the live events scenario for you. Live events that I've shown you with Yammer and Stream are also available in Microsoft Teams. And so just like you can have a Teams meeting where everyone is equal and can contribute and participate in the meeting, you can also do a live event in Teams, which is a little bit more of a one-to-many experience, where the producers can control what everyone else is seeing. So the same concepts and the same features light up across Yammer, Teams, and Microsoft Stream. And just to emphasize, these capabilities are now generally available. We announced GA on Tuesday, so they're available worldwide for you. And these are just a few of the scenarios that we think are going to be valuable for customers, and we're already seeing customers take advantage of. Using live events for leadership engagement across the organization, broadcasting announcements, delivering training, and even hosting webinars. One of Teams' superpowers is the ability to host live events for external users. And so if you want to host a webinar for customers or partners, or even the public, you can use Teams and host a live event inside of Teams. So great new capabilities. Now, whenever you're using video, you're transferring more data over your network than you do when people use email or chat or just about any other technology. Video is heavy duty. And so you do need to give some consideration to how video will perform on your network, especially if you have particularly constrained network bandwidth. Now, Stream natively optimizes for the device on which the video is being viewed. So if I were watching video on my mobile device, Stream would optimize the traffic for that mobile device. If I was watching a video on a 4K monitor, Stream would optimize for that on my local area network. So Stream does some optimization initially, but you can further optimize your network using HTTP cache proxies, or using one of our partner solutions that provide what is called enterprise content delivery networks or software delivery networks that are particularly built for Stream. And we've got 3 partners. Some of them are here in the room. Several of them have booths out in the expo hall, Hive, Collective, and Ramp. This actually is a little bit outdated because several of them do multicast now. But Hive, Collective, and Ramp are all great partners. Many of our customers who are using video for other scenarios have already implemented one of these 3 partners. And if you're going to be doing video, particularly at scale, when you're talking about thousands of users watching at the same time, you definitely want to work with these partners to make sure that you're going to have an optimal experience for your users. Some of these partners even have analytics tools that you can use for free to look at your environment and estimate how video will perform on your network. So that's an important thing to keep track of if you're an IT pro and you're thinking of using video at a significant scale in your organization. The third tool in the story today is SharePoint. And SharePoint's superpower is the ability to create a website or a page that brings together content from across Office 365 and beyond. Many of you were in the intranet session yesterday in this very room, and we saw a little bit of this, but we're going to look back. We're going to now bring this scenario into the employee engagement space, and we'll take a look at how SharePoint allows you to build great sites that light up conversation from Yammer and video from Stream. So we've been seeing the leadership engagement scenario inside of Yammer. We've seen the video inside of Stream. We're now going to sort of go to what I would consider to be the most advanced and perhaps the most powerful way of working with this scenario. So I'm going to pull up a SharePoint site. And this site is a SharePoint site that was built completely out of the box. It literally would take about 3 minutes, 5 minutes to build the site. And what this site is designed to do is give our leadership a place to really communicate with the organization, to share their vision, to share resources that help the organization move forward, to share their activities, and also to bring together the conversation that we saw on Yammer, the video and the live events we saw on Stream. So at the top of this page, the leadership is sharing resources. Let me go full screen so it's easier to see here. The leadership is sharing resources about what's top of mind with a big, beautiful hero web part. And then they've got a blog that uses SharePoint News that we talked about yesterday, where they can share experiences with the organization. We go down a little bit further, and we can see links to resources on the right-hand side of the page. And on the left-hand side of the page, we're seeing the conversation from Yammer. This is the exact same group that we were looking at in Yammer, now being integrated into SharePoint as a richer, more content-dense experience. And you can even see, here's my recent post that I did just at the beginning of the session. So I can post and interact and reply and do everything that Yammer does right within the SharePoint page. This is the new Yammer Conversations web part, and it's just shipping now so that you can create rich sites and pages that have the Yammer conversation integrated, as opposed to sending people to one place for conversation and another place for content. Going down a little bit further, this page also uses the Stream web part to embed the latest recording of our company meeting. So this is a Stream web part pointing to the same event recording that we looked at a few moments ago in Stream. And going down a little bit further, there's another Stream web part that is showing the channel of videos for our company meetings. So we've really brought together the power of Yammer, Stream, and SharePoint to create a curated and very rich experience. And at this point, users wouldn't necessarily need to go to Stream to see company meetings or to Yammer to converse with the, to dialogue with leaders. They could just come here. And this is sort of, like I said, the most advanced and feature-rich way to do this. Does that make sense? That sort of evolution we took there from Yammer to Stream to SharePoint? Okay. All right. We're going to move into the scenarios in just a moment and see how these come together and give you some guidance for how you can do this in your organization. Before we do that, I want to give you one other tip, which I find a lot of people don't realize, which is we've been looking at Yammer in the web browser. Whoops, let me go back to the web browser here. Where were we? This one. We've been looking at Yammer in a web browser, but Yammer also has a desktop app, just like Microsoft Teams and Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Outlook. The Yammer desktop app gives you the exact same experience, but it allows you to open it from the start menu, to even pin it to your taskbar, and it integrates deeply with Windows. So you get the notification badges, the number 7 that tells me how many items I need to look at in my inbox, and it will give me Windows notifications if something happens that I need to be alerted to. So I'll get one of those little pop-up toasts in Windows. And the Yammer desktop app, I find, is a really valuable tool for those organizations that are making the most of Yammer. I personally try to keep Outlook, Teams, and Yammer open along with a browser, and that's pretty much what I work with every day. Those are my 4 tools, and they're pinned to my taskbar. Actually, I think you can even see that here. We got Teams, Outlook, Yammer, and my web browser, and then I also have OneNote. So that's my real desktop. So the Yammer desktop app is a particularly valuable little tip there. In addition, there's the Yammer mobile app. So let's jump over and take a quick look at that. The Yammer, luckily not right now. The Yammer mobile app is a great experience of Yammer on your iOS and Android devices. We are updating this app all the time. In fact, we're about to ship over the next couple of weeks some really cool enhancements to the mobile app. So it's a good thing to watch. And again, I can come in and I can interact with all of the posts. I've got the ability to create new posts. And I can choose to share an update, an announcement, a praise, or even create a poll on my mobile device. So all of that functionality works for me on mobile as well. In fact, let's scroll down and see. There's some of our rich media. There's a link that was shared. There's a praise at the top right now. Going down a little bit further, there's a poll. We got our Giphies, ever important Giphies. Assuming I can find a video here, we can even play the video in line. But I can't find one right now. The Yammer mobile app is a great thing to make sure that your users have as well. So now let's pull these all together and talk about how these tools light up employee engagement and communication scenarios in your organization. And when we talk about employee engagement and communications with customers, they immediately begin to understand how valuable this scenario is for an organization. Across the globe, employee engagement is pretty low. It's about 15%. But when you look at companies who have highly engaged employees, where employees are engaged at about the 70% level, profitability goes up 21%. That's a real, tangible business result from getting employees engaged in the mission of the organization. This comes from research that was done by Gallup across the globe. And employee engagement and communications deliver all kinds of other real business value as well. One of my favorite quotes about employee engagement comes from the head of user experience at Rio Tinto, which is one of the world's largest extraction companies. They do mining around the world. And you'll notice the last sentence here. Our goal is ultimately to improve employee engagement, which translates into more invested employees, higher retention, and better results for customers. These are things that drive actual business value. You can measure the ROI on these kinds of things. When you see retention rates improve, and you can attribute it to engagement in your organization. Now, when we think about employee engagement and communications, we tend to see customers driving one or more of 4 initiatives. And we'll go into each of these initiatives here, starting with leadership engagement. This is the initiative we've been using as an example so far. And so we've talked about this one already. And this is where we're able to engage leaders with employees so that they can inspire and guide and align the organization. We've already seen a demo of some of those capabilities. So let me cut to the 3 things I want you to go back and do in your organizations to start connecting leaders and employees. The first is to create a group, to create a space where you can have this sustained dialogue. It's a Yammer group. And get your leaders engaged. Now, leaders who don't understand the value of social and the return of investment on social media will take some time. But it's as easy as it is in the consumer world. When they go to a customer meeting, share a photo and say something they learned. Ask a question, start a dialogue. And if they do that just a few times a week even, you'll start to see people getting engaged with leaders. And when leaders start replying to questions and liking posts, people will start to feel that it's a place that they can truly come to express themselves. Then look at hosting live and on-demand events with real-time discussion using Yammer. Use the new live events capability, which is now GA. And third, think about putting together an intranet site that pulls together the Yammer conversation, the live events, and creates a truly curated experience for leaders. So the three things that I showed you during the first half of this session, these are the takeaways. These are the calls to action for you to drive greater leadership engagement in your organization. Before the session started, we saw a video from Royal Dutch Shell. David Harrington, who's the Vice President of Internal Communications, has a great quote about the fact that senior leaders there use Yammer to really amplify their voice and introduce dialogue. But more importantly, it's a way for them to gain insight, again, to listen to what the organization is thinking about. Is anyone from Shell in the room today, by the way? I was wondering, since we're so close to their headquarters here. So now let's turn to the second big scenario, which is employee communications. And employee communications is really about keeping people up to date on an ongoing basis with what's happening across the organization. Now, in the past, employee communications was generally a top-down operation for organizations. There would be people somewhere that decided what was important news, and they would spend a lot of time creating it, and then they would broadcast it to the rest of the organization. Today, it's much more important that information flows very rapidly in the organization, not just from the top down, but also from the bottom up, so that things that are happening where the customers are, where the products are, can get to the rest of the organization, including the top. And also that information can be shared side to side in an organization, across teams, to help connect people and ideas and efforts across the organization. And again, these can be super valuable in organizations to drive growth, as quoted here by Russ Dyer, who's a VP at Mondelez. Yesterday in the intranet session, we talked about using SharePoint News to keep people up to date in the organization, as opposed to using email. So if you didn't see the session yesterday, I recommend going and looking at the recording once it's available, but I'll give you a real quick glimpse into what we showed yesterday with SharePoint News. And effectively, what News lets you do is it lets you create articles, share them across the organization, and engage in conversation and socialization around those articles. So what we see here is a SharePoint site where we're distributing news, and this is pulling news from across the organization. It uses audience targeting to make sure the right information gets to the right people at the right time. And creating a news post is as easy as choosing new news post, picking from one of a variety of templates so that news can be consistent and visually compelling, and then filling in the blanks and creating an article. So typing in whatever it is you need to do, and filling in the blanks and then posting that news article. And that news can then be brought to people wherever they are in the organization. So for example, news can be distributed on SharePoint Mobile. So if we go into the SharePoint mobile app, the first tab is news, and you'll notice there's that same news article we were just seeing on the news site. And I can tap into that article and I get a very responsive, beautiful view of that news article. All of the rich content that's on that page is available to me. And at the bottom, I can choose to like that article, I can comment on it, and I can even share it with other people using the share gestures on my device. So SharePoint News is distributed automatically to phones and devices using the SharePoint mobile app. And you can also bring news directly into your teams. So this particular site was built to sort of bring news together from across the organization. We can go into Microsoft Teams, where my team works. And in my team, we can add a website tab. Oops, I already have that, so let's go look at it. There it is. and put in the URL to that site that we were just on, and that brings the news from that site directly into Teams, so that people no longer have to leave their core collaborative environment to go catch up with the company. They can catch up with it right inside of Microsoft Teams. So that's SharePoint News, and the idea is you can have people creating news within their teams. My team uses news whenever we have an event or a customer engagement. At the end of the month, we have status reports that we publish, and we use news to share all that information. And news then becomes available over the long term, so if someone new joins the team, they can catch up with what's happened. We also use news to distribute to a broader audience across the organization, and we use filtering and audience targeting to make sure that when I see news, it's news that's right for me, based on the fact that I'm in marketing and I work in Seattle, and that I'm a manager who's been with the company for a fairly long time. All of those kinds of things can be used to make sure that the right news gets to me. So SharePoint News is a wonderful tool for keeping people up to date. And again, if you didn't see the detailed session on it yesterday, we have an Ignite session that's recorded, and I believe they'll be releasing the recordings that they're making here in Amsterdam as well. The second thing that I encourage you to do for employee engagement and for employee communications is get people using video. Video is so much richer than written communications. People process information in video 60,000 times faster than reading, because video is so dense and so visual. Again, you have what people are saying, you have body language, you have the environment. All of those signals are part of video. And video is a great way to share an announcement or to deliver training. And with today's workforce, most of today's workforce feels much more comfortable turning on their phone and recording themselves in video than they feel comfortable sitting down at a computer, opening a Word template and trying to type out 3,000 words. Video is a much more agile way to communicate. There's less rules, and therefore it's more democratized. And with Stream, managing sharing and security for information, it means you can open up video to the organization and let people communicate. And once you have video and Stream, you can put that together with SharePoint News. So for example, let's say that we just had a product safety improvement, and we have a video that covers that particular announcement. We did that in Stream. I'm going to go ahead and get the link to that video, and I can then publish that link as news. And I can do that two ways. I can either create a news post and put in a a Stream web part with the URL to the video, so the video is embedded in the page. Or I can do it even faster by using what's called a news link. A news link allows me to share any web URL with my audience as a news post. And then I can go through and put in a title like new product safety announcement. Be sure to catch up with the latest. And I can actually share that Stream URL as news. And I can do the same thing with news that's coming from outside my organization. I can use the news link capability to share news that's coming from any website out on the internet as well. So use video to democratize communications in your organization and really empower everyone in your organization to create SharePoint pages and communication sites to share their knowledge and their information with the rest of the organization. And again, in yesterday's session, we spent a lot of time looking at SharePoint communication sites, and we have that recording that will be made available, as well as the Ignite sessions on communication sites for you to look at there. All right. The third initiative that we see customers putting in place to support employee engagement and communications is what we call open learning, sharing, and innovation. And this particular initiative is, I think, the most valuable that our tools can offer. Because when you put a new tool for teamwork in place, like Microsoft Teams, you can really change the way a team works. It's very transformative. When you put tools in place like Yammer, SharePoint, and Stream, you can change the way an organization works. You can change the culture of the company because it allows you to connect people across teams, across the organization, and encourages them to share knowledge and best practices, to share learning. One of the biggest challenges in today's workforce is that a lot of baby boomers are retiring now and into the next few years. The HR industry calls this the silver tsunami. And with those people leaving the organization, so leaves a lot of corporate knowledge that's in their heads and in their inboxes. We need, as organizations, to find ways to get that knowledge surfaced. And one of the ways to do that is to engage those people in conversation so that that knowledge becomes part of the zeitgeist, part of the culture of the organization itself. In addition, connecting people across the organization allows more fluid innovation and sharing of ideas. One of our customers, Wipro, uses Yammer to share across the organization, and they've actually seen that they are able to sharpen their competitive edge by doing so. Now, to drive open sharing and learning and innovation, it starts with Yammer and creating conversation and places for people to share information. But then often it needs to be supported with content. It needs to be something where you have both the resources and the knowledge and the people and the conversation all in one place. So let's take a look at what that might look like. We're going to go to a site that we saw very briefly yesterday called Readiness. And in this particular site, it's a standard SharePoint communication site that's designed to bring people and content together to help our sales organization drive better sales of our products. So we have at the top a very big, bold, beautiful link to our product handbook so that they can get to it really easily. We have experts on the products with the people web part, so I can reach out and talk to one of these experts if I have questions. And then we have brought in a Yammer group called Retail Readiness that, again, has the conversation. And here, people are connecting with each other to share knowledge, to share best practices, to share tips about how to improve sales and customer engagements. So we're using these things together to create what we would call a community. In addition, there are specific pages for specific products. So we can go see the product page for the Contoso Eagle drone. And again, there's information about the product. There are the product leads. And then there's a whole set of documents related to this product. And if I select one, I can get a preview of it over here on the right to make sure it's the right document before I open it. So I'm really able to create a very rich community using SharePoint and Yammer and potentially even Microsoft Stream to bring in video. We can take this to a little bit more generic level and talk about this kind of experience as a learning hub, someplace that really brings together content, Q&A, resources, discussion into anything that you need to help employees learn. And I think the one thing that everyone in this room needs their employees to learn is how to use Microsoft 365. So let's look at an example of how you might do that. This is a site that was created specifically to share information about Office 365. So we've got a whole bunch of content here. We're bringing in some videos. I think down here we might have some events scheduled. Oops, they fell off the calendar, but we would have some brown bag events. And very importantly, we have a conversation here where users can talk directly with each other and share tips and ask questions and get answers and move each other forward. So this is what I would call a learning hub, particularly for Office 365. And I can go in and I can say, hey, how do I get started with Microsoft Teams? That sounds like a great topic. And I can get information about that. And again, I could have conversations connected here. So first, let me ask, does this scenario make sense to everyone? Kind of like something you probably should do. I wish we gave our customers this automatically. Guess what? We do. We just released this week into preview a new site called the PNP provisioning site. Now that sounds really technical. But what it does is it's a site that allows you to go as an administrator and pull samples into your own tenant. And this is one of those samples. You can actually go and grab this, put it in your tenant. And the really cool thing is, this is a web part that is dynamically pulling content from support.office.com. So we're pulling content right into your environment to help you drive better adoption and training for your organization. So this is a really cool sample that you can get. I'll give you the URL right at the end of the session here. And you can put into place in your organization. And it's just a SharePoint site. So if there's something you want to change, you can edit it. You can modify it. You can do what you want with it. So we're really excited to have this new capability of allowing you to sort of push templates and samples and solutions into your own organization. And again, that's a great example of a learning hub. Second idea here is to create communities of practice. And this is the idea of any topic that people need to know and understand or think about or learn about in your organization, you can create one of these communities. Whether it's just a Yammer conversation or whether it's a SharePoint site that includes content and perhaps video from Stream and the Yammer conversation, create communities of practice where people can talk and share and ask questions and get answers. And on that note, I'm going to share with you a brand new feature that's coming to Yammer. Let me find the best place to show this to you. Let's go back to Yammer. And some of you who have been using Yammer a lot might have noticed something new up here at the top when I go into Post. And that is, there are now more things you can create in Yammer. It's not just updates, announcements, praise, and polls. You can also ask a question. So actually, let's do this in this group. I've got a different group we'll use. This particular group is designed for employees to talk to HR, to talk to the personnel, the human resources organization. And so people can go in here and ask a question. And so I can ask, what is our diversity goal for 2019? Actually, I probably should hashtag it again. And I can post that. And then people can answer that. And when an answer is made, we can mark the best answer. So let's see if there's an example of that further down. Yeah, you can see this one has an answer that's been marked to the best answer. It gets pinned to the top, and it's a way of really identifying the right solution and making that knowledge ongoing. So you can see how in a community of practice, this can be a really useful tool for a question and answer. In addition, I've showed this in several other sessions, so I'll do this really quick. You can actually wire this up to a bot. So I can ask, what are our holidays in 2019? And in a few minutes, we will get a bot responding to that answer. And it will do that automatically. And there have been other sessions during the event where I showed this in detail, and also other people showed how to do this. We have a blog post on the Yammer blog that will show you how to wire up a bot. It takes no code whatsoever. It's just Microsoft Flow and Azure Q&A Maker. And we'll give it just about 10 more seconds, and then we'll assume it's being slow. But question and answer is new. Oh, one other thing you'll see is new. If I do an update, rich text. For those of you who've been using Yammer for a while, you'll be happy to see that. You can do bold, italic. It's about time. So we're excited about that one. The bot has not yet. There we go. The bot just returned the answer. And there's the answer. And I can mark that the best answer. So creating communities of practice and perhaps using the new Q&A feature, which we'll be shipping over the next couple of months to all of you worldwide. And then finally, using these same concepts to tap into tribal knowledge to generate feedback and ideas. The plan here is to create a group where people can suggest things, can provide feedback. It can be very broad, like ideas for the company, or it can be very specific, like ideas for a product. To give you an example of what we do at Microsoft, my team is the SharePoint marketing team. We use Microsoft Teams to do our work. But we have a Yammer group that is open to the entire company, where people can come and ask questions about SharePoint, suggest ideas, and we're able to engage with our entire field, tens of thousands of people in the Yammer group that we simply attach to Microsoft Teams. And that's the idea, is using Yammer to do campaigns of ideas and feedback. And it's a really powerful approach. We have one customer that did a campaign for a great idea, they called it. And they had one idea that was submitted that saved the company 1 million British pounds. We have another company, a French pharmaceutical company, that did a campaign that they called corporate activists. And basically, this was people who really cared about the company and wanted to improve quality and safety. And they saved tens of millions of euros using these kinds of experiences. So bringing people together and asking the right questions can generate really, really significant business results. So the final scenario that I'd like to touch on is participation and inclusion. And this is using the same capabilities and features that we've been talking about to drive a broader sense of contribution in the organization. Today, people want to feel part of the mission. In fact, millennial employees particularly will take a job for lower pay if they feel like they're more a part of the organization. That's what research proves, and it's really clear research too. So the more you can make people feel part of something bigger than themselves, the more they'll be engaged. And if you need to talk to your organization about this, you can ask them one question. How many of us have ever given 100% to a job we didn't really care about? No one does that. If you care about your job, you give more. And the way you care is to connect to people and to the mission of the organization. And that's what this set of initiatives is all about. So using the same capabilities we've been describing, you can nurture communities of interest and affiliation. So for example, at Microsoft, we have a community for women at Microsoft. We have a community for the gay and lesbian community. We've got all kinds of other communities of interest. We have a photography enthusiasts community where people who just like taking photos share the photos. It's a super active community. And you know where we go when we need clip art? Saves the company a ton of money sometimes. We have a community, one of our busiest communities is our Microsoft travel community, people who travel. We share tips about how to get status on airlines and hotels, what the best restaurants are in a city, what we should do while we're in Amsterdam. So these are really cool ways to just engage people who are spending 8 or 10 hours of their day working for the organization. The second thing you can do to really drive participation and inclusion is praise people. Yammer allows you to post praise. So I can go into a group. For example, I might go into our, we can stay right here. I can deliver praise. I can specify who I want to praise. Let's say Megan has done a really great job. I can give her congratulations. And that's a really compelling way to make people feel appreciated and included and part of the broader mission of the organization. And finally, conduct campaigns to drive cultural and behavioral change. The hardest part about digital transformation is not the technology, it's getting people to change the way they work. And one of the ways you can get people to change the way they work is to talk about it. Right now at Microsoft, for example, we have an internal campaign called How We Work, hashtag How We Work. And people are sharing tips about new ways that they use our own tools to do their jobs better. They hashtag it How We Work in whatever Yammer group they're in, and those conversations can be surfaced up in a single place. And so that's one of the ways we can use our own tools to drive our cultural transformation, and these same tools are available for you. So that's a tour of employee engagement and communication, and hopefully gives you an idea of how 3 best-of-class products, SharePoint, Yammer, and Stream, can come together and really allow you to connect with and engage your entire workforce to move the organization forward. I hope this has been super valuable for you as a presentation. I'm going to include in the slide deck a couple of slides about our roadmap. We're running out of time, so I'll just save them for you. I did want to re-emphasize that live events is available now. That is right here. So live events is available now. Also, we are deploying the Yammer Conversations web part for SharePoint and a Yammer tab for Teams. And I wanted to spend a few seconds just helping you think about why you would want a Yammer tab in Teams. We saw the Yammer group on leadership engagement, right, where everyone can go and connect with leaders. What if I'm one of the corporate communicators and I'm one of the ones organizing those live events? I'm going to have a team where we do that. But I want to keep my finger on the pulse of what's the conversation is going on. I'm going to want to be able to, tap into that conversation. I can do that by adding that group as a tab in Teams so that I can have a single interface that I can do my work on that effort and communicate with the rest of the organization. Or I use the example of how we work on SharePoint. We can have our team for SharePoint marketing, and we can bring that Yammer community where all of our field is asking questions and providing feedback, and we can bring it right into Teams so we can have it close at hand at our fingertips. So we've got a lot more coming in 2019, including questions and answers, e-discovery, new discovery experiences, and people cards coming in H2. And I know this is particularly important since we're in Europe. We have just begun the preview of the Yammer data residency in the EU. So European customers can have the messages stored in Yammer actually stored in the EU. That will become generally available in the next couple of months, so stay tuned. We're moving very fast forward on that, and then we will go into additional regions after that. With that, a couple of quick slides. I'll again leave these in the deck. We've got some links to articles about how to use Yammer for employee engagement. We've got a great case study about ANZ Bank, which deployed Yammer to 50,000 employees worldwide. And they did a bake-off with Workplace by Facebook, and you can learn more about why they chose Yammer. We talked about our partners, and I'll give you all kinds of other links. And I'm going to put two up as we close. The most important two of all, aka.ms/Yammer/blog. That is our blog. Let me make this bigger. And the other one I promised you was the new provisioning site. I saw a lot of people liking that training resource. So let me make sure I give you the right URL for that. Whoops, wrong browser. This is so new, I haven't even put in the slides yet. There it is right there. So that's where you can get the sample, including the training sample that I showed you. So with that, I'd like to thank you. I know we stayed over a few minutes. I appreciate you staying over. If you've got questions, feel free to come on up. Have a wonderful afternoon and enjoy the rest of Microsoft Ignite the Tour.